go to any of the other Manticore officers first, but if worst case scenario, I can always get to it. I bet Sug can always get to it. Sug loves DMs. He doesn't bite. Common misconception, I know. He's scary, but believe it or not, he's actually really nice. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask for areas of improvement from any Manticore, because I promise you, if you go to a Manticore event, we see you and we're looking. I heard it's more likely for officers to join Manticore. Not true. Not true. Officers are just sometimes we see officers more often than regular military police at the border, or vice versa. There's not a rank that gets in more than the other rank. It's just who we see the most of. So if there's like a super gung-ho, motivated, ambitious officer who's always at the border, always attending MP events, yeah, we're going to notice them over a sergeant who maybe doesn't attend all that stuff. But I would say that it just depends on the flow of interest and the flow of people that we see. But no, there's more people than just officers that get in. Who does the scouting for Manticore? So that reminds me of like professional sports scouting. I would say when we do quote unquote scouting, I would say everyone does scouting ish. Everyone is always watching in Manticore, whether you're the lowest rank or the highest rank. We're always looking for new members. I think that's all I can say without saying too much, but just if there's a Manticore member, he's watching. So just, be on your best behavior. And even when there's not a Manticore member there, that's the best time to be on your best behavior, because believe it or not, we still find stuff out. Are mobile players allowed? Yes, definitely. They're back in the old Manticore. We had a mobile senior operative, very gung ho, very, very cool. So mobile players can totally make it in. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult, unfortunately, but you can do it. It's possible. What other questions do we have? Yeah, I just answered that. So pretty much you can join Manticore Mobile. Just be careful about it. Someone did DM me a question. Let me get to that. So yeah, that's a good question. It's okay that you don't want to answer it in public. I'm just going to say it in public. I'll just leave your name anonymous. But someone asked, past punishments affect me getting into Manticore? Yes. Especially if they're recent punishments. So if you have a punishment in like the past 2 months, I would say 1 month to 2 months, depending on the severity, that will affect your chances of getting into Manticore. Obviously, we're the best of the best. We don't want people who are going out there random tasing or like teabagging individuals getting into the subdivision, because obviously that reflects poorly upon SUG, the chief administration, and the division as itself. So yes, recent punishments can definitely affect. Now, if the punishment is from like a year ago, it's probably not going to affect you, especially if we see growth. Like if we see improvement from your past punishment, like we can see that you're doing your best to really correct yourself as an individual, and that's something we're looking forward here at Manticore, is people who can self-improve. So like in the event of an honor deduction, I would just like, it's not going to set you back too far. I would just say be on your best behavior for like the next month or so. Everyone makes mistakes. I think that's something we need to address, is everyone makes mistakes. There's going to be people with those punishments. We have people at Manticore who have had punishments in the past, but they still get in because, they show improvement. They show that they don't make the same mistake over and over and over again. And, then we look and we see, hey, this individual has gone above and beyond to correct themselves. So hopefully that helps you. But I promise you, punishments will not be the end all be all unless you're suspended. That might be a problem. But like honor deductions and stuff, it's not going to ruin your chances forever. I promise you that. What other questions do we have? You guys offer people to make I'm going to say that Manticore are always watching, no matter what event it is, no matter where it is, whether it's in Discord, whether it's in game. We're always watching. We see you. That's not meant to scare you, but there's actually something I want to clear up. Is Manticore another common misconception is that we're out to get you. I know we may seem scary. I know Sug is super scary, and I get it. I was scared of him too once. But I promise you, we're not out to get you out. We're really here to like help you improve. That's something I love about Manticore, is we want to see you all improve. We want MP to be at its best, and so we're not out to like get you and be like, oh, you didn't tase him because he touched the red line. It's time to demote you, time to get you honor deducted, time to report you to the administration or whatever. We're not here to do that. We're really here just to help you improve. So I would say if you're interested in helping yourself improve, but also working with others to help them improve, Manticore is definitely for you. because I just want to clear that up. I know a lot of people are like afraid of all of that. You know, oh my gosh, Manticore person, I'm gonna leave the server so I don't get caught or whatever. I promise you, we're not out to get you. We're out to help you improve. Like, that's all I can say. You know, if you still want to think that we're scary, you can. I get it. Sug is. You can't even say his name, so that's how scary he is. But I get he's quite nice. We're all nice. So is VC expected in Manticore? Um, so to join Manticore, I mean, you don't necessarily need to speak in VC. I would say you need to be able to join VC at times. Um, you don't need to talk. You don't need to have a mic, but as long as you can be in a VC, yeah. Is there a quota or something for Manticore? Yes, we have like, well, I don't know if I'd call it quota, but yes, we have work that we do on like weekly, bi-weekly basis stuff. It's cool. It's fun. As I said earlier, it can be described as paperwork, lots of field work too. You can interpret that as you will. It's fun, really it is. And honestly, Manticore, that type of work is going to prepare you for a lot of success in this group, whether it be an MP, TNI, anything. I attribute all of my success in this group to the first iteration of Manticore. Like, I would not be where I am today without Manticore. So I would definitely say the work, it's worth it. It can be hard at times. It can be long. It can be questionably boring. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's actually really fun as well. But you got to push through it, and it definitely improves you a lot. So I was really curious. You guys said you're always watching, and I don't mean to offend Manticore or something, but don't you guys have paperwork and other work to do rather than watching us? I mean, we have a lot of stuff to do, but I mean, we're always looking for new people. The grind never ends. You know what I mean? Like always watching. Semper vigilantium. Always vigilant. We're always watching. Do you have a strike system? Yes and no. But if you go inactive, you can expect to not stay in Manticore very long. I know. I know. Oh, I have not changed my username back. Oops. I know. So our new motto is Semper Vident, but that is what it is. Is Manticore a bit like the RI in Star Wars? What do you mean by RI? Do you mean like ISB? Or I'm trying to remember RI. I'm like a Star Wars nerd, but I'm completely blanking. Is Okay, Republic Intelligence. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking like yeah, Republic Intelligence. That's cool. I wasn't even thinking about the Republic, to be honest with you. I only think about the Empire, the glorious Empire. Long live the Emperor. I mean, Viceroy. Um, sort of, yeah. You could compare us to that. The ISB would be a good comparison. Yeah, that's a good one. Imperial Intelligence, I guess, as well. So yeah, if you want to compare us to something, then you can compare us to that. Yeah, we are doing secret stuff. Always watching. But no, I would say Manticore is a lot of fun. I would definitely join it if I were you. Um, great ways to do that. Again, attend Manticore related events, attending things like this. There's a Waterloo battle right now. Sorry. Attend events like this. You know, it's a lot of fun. And it's a great community. All the Manticore operatives, great people. I can definitely say that because they're all cool. People like Death Rider, super cool. We have uncool people though, like I'm not a noob. I'm just kidding. They're all great. You guys have a welfare system for Manticore? So we do. Okay. So the thing with subdivisions is like we're a family in a sense. Manticore is a family. That's something I also want to stress is we're a community and we're a family and we always have each other's backs. So when you're talking about welfare system, yes and no, but I can tell you we look after our own and we look after them quite well, at least from my experience. So if you do join Manticore, I can definitely guarantee you that you're going to have a lot of support from everyone. And, we're all here for the same job at the end of the day. What other questions do we have? Remember, you can ask questions about MP as well. Like, it doesn't have to be about Manticore. If you have like a question about the border or like what you would do in a certain situation, I can always answer those. Or if not, we could end 16 minutes in and I can go take a nap. Either or. I'm fine with whatever. Is MP expected to control the booth? So if there's citizens at the border, yeah, you're responsible for running traffic and everything. I would say if you have like a cadet or somebody in there and they're running it okay, I mean, just leave them in there. There's no reason to remove them. But if like you're alone at the border, yeah, you're expected to run the booth and everything else. If there's like an incompetent cadet in the booth, yeah, you're expected to kick him out and take over it yourself. I would say 9 times out of 10, just make sure you at least have someone in the booth that is competent. If you tase a citizen but they're too far away to arrest, are you allowed to use lethal force when they're tased? So refer back to the lethal force stuff. If you tase them, you can get there quick enough. Just run. I promise you'll get there quick enough. If your cuffs are broken though, yeah, you can kill them. But I would say if you tase them and they're too far away, at that rate, I don't even think your taser can hit that far. Usually your taser there's enough range for you to run up and get them. Now if you're fighting multiple hostiles, that's questionable. I would just focus on the other hostile for a moment, but you can also reload your taser and yada yada. And like DS King said, you can tase them again if you need to. So really there should be no reason if it's just one citizen that you should need to kill them unless your cuffs are broken. General question, where in the border do you guys suggest us to position for maximum efficiency? So when we think about the military police and we think about our duties, our primary role is to be border rule enforcement. So obviously the best place to be is the border. I think that's a no-brainer. I think everyone should be at the border. Obviously, if there's so many MPs at the border, you set up tri-patrol and everything. But the first place you should always be focusing on is border. In terms of angles, I would be I would definitely say if you have a jetpack, be up. Catwalks can be good. Just make sure there's an MP down below them. But generally speaking, hide behind one of those glass things on the side. If you hide behind the glass thing, that's great. That gives you cover, allows you to react in time. That's probably one of the best places to position yourself at the border. Or checkpoint. If there's citizens actively there, definitely be at checkpoint, especially if they're in line. Are we supposed to be at the border when there's no citizens at all? Yes and no. I would still say go to the border. There needs to be okay. So this is like a gray area, and it's a great question. You can be at the border. There's no rule saying you can't leave. I would just say that's extremely risky because if a citizen does show up to the border and you're not there, you could get tagged for border abandonment. So always, if there's multiple MPs at the border, take turns. Maybe just leave one person at the border at all times. It's not a rule. If there's no citizens at the border, you can leave. Sure, go ahead. Just if you do leave and there's an officer or someone sees you and then a citizen shows up and you're not coming back to the border, that's going to get you in trouble. So I would just say if there's multiple MPs, leave one at the border. If not, if you're just alone, you can leave the border. Just stay close enough so you can see when citizens come. So like go to main gate or something, or the arches. It's just all about being careful. Do you guys think simulation trainings are harder to host than quality assurance trainings, or is it the opposite? I've hosted both. I'd say they're about the same. Events, generally speaking, are pretty easy if you have a script and make it cool and everything and entertaining. Can you go to a cafe to pursue an armed citizen? So what's your border abandonment rule? If you have another MP at the border, I would say you can. Because then there's at least one person still manning the border for citizens. If you're the only one at the border, again, be careful. There's no rule saying you can't leave the border. But if another citizen shows up, what's this? I did not know that was happening today. 1 minute. My schedule. Okay, that's fine. What would be qualities? What would be qualities Manticore looks for? First of all, communication. I think that's one of the biggest things I look for. I know Sug looks for it, Death looks for it, and I think it's probably one of the most essential traits to have. You need to be able to communicate at the border. Short, quick, concise, not long paragraphs. Nobody's going to read those, and I know it's Roblox anyway, so you can't make it too long, but still. Short, quick, concise, We look for communication. If you see citizens moving towards the border, shout it out. Like, hey, 5 citizens moving towards the border. Be prepared. Start rotating and letting your teammates know. If you leave them out to dry, 5 citizens show up the border, you're leaving them in a tough spot. The next thing is obviously the ability to work well under pressure. When you're in Manticore, it does get stressful sometimes. So you do have we deal with specific situations at the border and or not at the border that high intensity, high stress, high risk, and so you need to be able to keep your cool under like the pressure. I know some people it's harder than others. It's harder for them than it is for other people, but it's something that everybody's got to do in Manticore. Don't get stressed. Don't start freaking out. Don't start yelling at your teammates or everything. Just work together. Stay calm. That is a huge thing in Manticore. Another thing is being responsible, on time, consistent, being competent. All those general qualities that you would expect of like the best of the best. Just assume that. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing is communication, being able to keep you calm in stressful situations, and being able to be consistently competent and above par. You guys assign objectives, yada yada yada. So I can't answer too much about that. All I can tell you is work is given out to everyone in Manticore. Everyone has something to do, and it happens weekly, bi-weekly, sometimes monthly. It depends. And a constable do a As far as I'm concerned, I was not aware the officer corps or sub-officer corps still did that. An officer might be able to answer that one. Are there any ways to train to become a Manticore operative? Yeah, I went over it earlier. Taser shots. Be good at taser shots. So combat, either at the border, simulation trainings, taser trainings, or just going on to like a aim trainer with like a sniper or like precision shooting. Taser shots. That's really good. If you can hit your taser shots, you will perform exponentially better than any other MP that can. I promise you that, and you will get noticed. Those MPs that take 5 to 6 taser shots, I'm sorry, you guys, there needs to be improvement. Because ultimately, when we look at how well you're doing your job, if you can't hit your shot, you can't arrest a citizen, and because you're so busy, you're becoming tunnel visioned with one citizen. It opens the door for other citizens to start acting out. So taser shots is important. Other ways you can train, just attend Manticore events, communicate, start to make a conscious effort when you're at the border or in any type of event just to call stuff out, even if it seems useless. If you see 5 citizens, call it out. Pay attention to the leaderboard, see someone switch from citizen to hitman. Hey, we got a hitman in the server, stuff like that. It's going to take a conscious effort and it will take time, but that's sort of a way you can start training, quote unquote, to become a Manticore operative. You still need to use grammar to call out rebels after you die. So since you're no longer in combat, I would say yes. Um, when you're in combat, it makes sense. You're busy, you're shooting. Yeah, you might not want to use grammar, but when you're dead, call it out with grammar. There's no reason not to. It takes an extra 1 second, and typically if you use your radio, they should know where they are anyway. So yeah, does Manticore start replacing observational trials with Manticore events? So yes and no. We're trying to host more observational trouts. The thing with observational trouts is they're just significantly more time consuming, and I wouldn't say difficult, but just I guess time consuming is the best way. They're more time consuming to host and set up. So we're trying to use other events as well that are easier. We can still get good data on people who are attending, but sort of keep that time down because we know you're busy, we're busy, everyone has exams coming up. So we're trying to keep the time it takes down. But observational tryouts still are hosted. I know one hasn't been hosted in a hot minute, but I promise you they're still hosted. I was just at one like 5 days ago or something. Does using VC give an extra advantage for becoming Manticore? Not really. But if there's Manticore and VC and you're like patrolling the border and they join your VC and they see how you're calling stuff out and everything, I mean, points for communication. It can't hurt you, it can only benefit you. Um, I would just say it's not a requirement. Like being able to use a mic is not a requirement. There are tons of Manticore operatives. I would say at least 50% of our Manticore operatives don't even have mics. But they still perform better than everyone else and they're still, super ambitious, super gung ho. Very, very cool. Let's say 4 hostiles are attacking you at the border and you're logging a warning. Wouldn't it be efficient? What would be an efficient way to log at the same time can confuse other MPs? So you could just say username or say like the first 5 letters of their username. So if I'm looking at you, I'm just gonna say Bend or Bendy, and then I'm just gonna say warned for like, or I'm just gonna say W1 and like let's say they got warned for trespassing. W1 trespass. Like it's really easy. So like let me give you an example. Bendy, W1. Oh, I misspelled your name. Oops. I can't type today. I have a band-aid on my finger. Bendy, W1. So like something like that. And it's easy, quick. Maybe at the start of the patrol, or you just let them know, like, hey, this is how I'm gonna warn, so people know. I mean, hey, you can pretty much figure that out. How do you Sorry, yeah, I can repeat that. I would say yes, use grammar when you die, just because you're no longer technically in combat, so it takes an extra second. Looks good. And specifying what they did, you don't necessarily need to do that. I would just say do it. But if they at least as long as you communicate the warning at the bare minimum, that's good. And then you can communicate what they were waiting for in the next message, and or just send it all at once. But you need to make both of those out. What other questions? What about people who are trying hard for Manticore but feels like giving up? Any tips for them not to quit? Yeah. So for the longest time, I always wanted to join Manticore. And then believe it or not, I actually gave up. And then it took about 6 months for me to get into Manticore, and I didn't even realize they were looking at me, but they invited me one day. Actually, it was Sug who invited me. I was like, what? I was like, what's this? But I would say self-motivation is very important. Like if you really want it, if you really, really, really want it, you should be doing your best. And I would say take time to reflect upon like what you're doing to be noticed. Take time to reflect upon your performances. Don't be afraid to reach out to a Manticore officer, being like, hey, where can I improve? Because I promise you, if you've been attending Manticore events, we have areas where you can improve and stuff. Yeah, you can ask questions. Um, so don't be afraid to reach out and like reaffirm your interest with us, so that way we know you're interested. It's a lot easier for us to like look at people when we know that they're interested. When you're not, I mean, yeah, we're still looking at you, but like whatever. But if you tell us, hey, I've been working at this for X, Y, Z. Here's what I've been doing. We'll pay more attention to you. We can watch. Um, Again, there's other officers other than the Kaiden. We've got zealots and elites, and oh wait, there's me. Even though I'm sort of like a weird position. But I would say self-motivate, reflect upon what you've been doing, and reach out. Self-motivation is hard. Burnout is hard. I get it. I've been there, been through all of it. Just remember, in the end of the day, be like, what? And I know this is going to be like whatever, philosophical, whatever. But in the end of the day, do what makes you happy. Do what you want to do, and and how the way you're pursuing it, make sure that you're enjoying it. Don't sacrifice your enjoyment for something that you think will bring you enjoyment. Like if you're trying to reach a goal but you're not enjoying necessarily reaching that goal, like I would say, yeah, that's part of life, trials and tribulation, but also be very wary that this is a game. Don't like, don't get it's not that deep is what I'm trying to say. Don't get so involved in the game that you lose sense of everything else. So just be very careful that you're not spending all your time trying to get in, because that is something that's going to like burn you out very quickly and cause you to lose motivation. Is if you're spending your whole afternoon trying to get in, you're going to feel like you're wasting time. And there's better things you can be doing than spending 6 hours trying to get into Manticore. As much as I respect it, like go outside, touch some grass, do eat lunch or something. Like do something other than that. So make sure you have a good balance of time. That's a really good way to combat burnout. Um, but if you're still trying, see if you see a Manticore member on patrol with them, yada yada yada. So hopefully that helps. Um, Let me see. There's a quick question DMs, and I'll get back to you. I'm not sure if I'm not. Yeah, you can DM questions. If you're a guest or an analyst, you can DM me questions if you can't see the chat. If I see an MP or SERB not doing their job or breaking the guidelines, what is the best way to report it? That sounds oddly like an application question, but I'm gonna answer it anyway because I don't think it's that big of a deal because people are gonna ask it anyway. There's an MP misconduct form. If you check the document log, you should be able to find it. Just report them via that. If it's a Cerberus, MP misconduct, it would still be the best way. You can also just reach out to a Cerberus officer, but I would recommend MP misconduct. As you said, you need to be active. Um, if you only play for an hour a day, that's still pretty good. Like me, I am incredibly busy. I used to be able to spend hours on TNI daily, and now I'm like behind on pretty much everything, but I still get by. Like it's not the end of the world. I would say there's definitely still a chance to get into Manticore. You just got to be intentional about when, I guess, where you're spending your time. So like, don't if you're like patrolling the border, and there's a Manticore event going on, like, you might want to go to the Manticore event instead of just patrolling the border. Or if you're like in a mass patrol or something, you see a Manticore event shouted like, just make sure you're prioritizing. That's what I would definitely recommend. Anybody else have any other questions, comments, concerns? MP, Manticore, TNI, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Manticore events, you can find them in shouts. Sometimes we host these things called quality assurance trainings. They're really awesome. They're ways so you can see where you need to improve. You get feedback. It's very fun. It's like a disciplinary training, but better. Observational tryouts are obviously in subdivision integration, just such as this. If you find the channel, where is it? If you see the channel called SP request, that is a great way. It's not necessarily an event, but it's a way you can request to be like to patrol with a Manticore member. And at the end of throughout the patrol, they're going to give you tons of feedback and everything at the end of it. You know, they'll tell you where you can improve, what they notice, things you did good on, things you did bad on, things that were in the middle. Like that's another great way. Is supervised patrols is what they're called. Very fun. I've done one or two. Like it's fun. I promise you. So there's a lot of ways you can. There's shut-in events, shouts, all that. If you have the Manticore interested ping, that's going to be helpful as well, which I see you do have. So just pay attention to that. Maybe don't mute pings. I know it's hard. We get tons of pings from this server, but if you really want to get into Manticore, maybe unmute them for just a bit. What else do we have? Questions, comments, concerns for your life? Let's see, what do I need to do today? There's a lot I need to do in TNI. Can I just be honest, guys? Like, TNI is oddly addicting. I bet you guys are like right there with me, but since you're all MP officers and people, cool MPs, tomatoes, you understand the addiction. You worked hard, and now you're a Lego policeman. Super fun, guys, super fun. Living the dream. Crippling debt. Well, some of you might not be in debt yet, but some of us are. Sorry, I'm just burning time. If nobody else has any other questions in the next like 2-ish minutes, we'll conclude. But we can just talk as well. I should say I love pretzels. I used to like hate them, but now for some reason I've got this addiction. Saxophone. I do have my saxophone actually, guys. I do have it with me right now. I can pull it out. We can do some jazz. Alternate entry program. Yes, about that. I do believe there's a few ways you can get in alternate entry. You can be directly invited by someone, but typically speaking, the best way is just check the public guidelines. If you're an inspector, so yeah, that's a good question. Based on your rank doesn't determine whether you get into Manticore or not. Your rank is merely an indicator of your level of responsibility within the group. So if you're an inspector, yeah, I mean you're going to be more reliable in theory than a normal marshal. And reasons for that is because, well, hey, this person is an MP officer. They have a weekly quota. They are obviously, doing that weekly quota. Thus, they can be relied on to then do work within Manticore. That's like the mindset. You see what I mean? Like it won't hurt you if you're not an officer. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying become an officer. I'm just saying if you are an officer, it will only like benefit you and let us see like, hey, this person can do X, Y, Z. But I promise you, there's tons of normal MPs as well. I was a marshal when I became Manticore Kaidan. So like, not too bad, not too bad, not too shabby. Granted, I was an admiral, but that's besides the point. Sub officers can be also included in that, yes. How does Manticore roughly? Okay, so how active do you need to be per week? I would say about have 2 to 3 hours a week. That's all the time you should need. Maybe 3.5, 4 hours on a super, super, super busy once in a lifetime occasion, but 2 to 3 hours a week is pretty solid. And I would argue that if you're really good at doing what you do, you work, you don't get distracted, you could get it all done in an hour and a half, I think. Well, maybe that's pushing it. 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, somewhere in there. Both of those work, but you can do it. It's like sometimes stuff is weekly, sometimes it's bi-weekly, sometimes it's monthly, sometimes it's whatever. So generally speaking, though, we're very flexible with quota times and everything, so I would not worry too much. But yeah, so Manticore, it's not that much of a time commitment, I would argue. Like if you think about it, if you have 2 to 3 hours a week, you have 7 days in a week. Let's see, 3 times 60 is like what, 180? 180 divided by like 7. That's a lot of math that it's the weekend I can't do, but let me see. 18 divided by 9 is 2, so 18 divided by 7, like 2.3. So like 23 minutes a day for 7 days, 7 to like 14 days a week, depending on whatever it is. Not bad. Quick math, guys, quick math. Actually, now I want to see if I got that right. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. What is 180 divided by 7? Darn it, 25. You know what? For the weekend, I think I was pretty close though. Can't be bothered to do math. Um, what other questions, comments, concerns? 1 minute, I'm not at my desk. I found something that is super cool. I wonder if I brought it home though. Like the reads. Green for Manticore? It's a great question. It's always just been green as far as I remember. We like lettuce. We sell wheat. I mean, what? So, green has just always been the thing. That's true. Manticore people touch grass. And Sughrgxdkj also runs a drug cartel. That's why it's green.